It began on a Sunday morning, one of those still grey days that smelled of damp leaves and cracked concrete. Martin Reynolds, 52, a retired building inspector from Yorkshire, had just moved into a quaint rental cottage nestled deep in the Lincolnshire countryside. He needed quiet. After the stroke and the passing of his wife, noise had become intolerable. Everything felt like it scraped against his nerves. The cottage, with its stone walls, creaky wooden floors, and large, overgrown garden, was cheap and distant from city life. Just what he wanted. But even on his first day, something felt strange. While unpacking boxes, Martin paused suddenly at the doorway between the kitchen and hall. A smell, faint but distinct, like burnt sugar mixed with something earthy. Moss, perhaps. The kind of scent that catches in your throat. He sniffed the air again. Nothing. Shrugging, he blamed the musty old cottage. But that night, when he went to bed, the scent returned. Stronger this time. It woke him around 3:17 a.m. He remembered the clock vividly because of the odd flicker on the display. He sat upright and nostrils flaring. There it was again. Sweet, damp, unnatural. He searched the house in his robe, even checked the garden. Nothing. Over the next few days, the scent became a regular visitor. Sometimes it drifted in while he was making tea. Other times, it clung to his clothes like a perfume. It never lasted long, but each time it appeared, Martin would feel a chill. Not just from the cold, but deep in his bones. He called the letting agency. No gas leaks, no mould, no reports of chemical treatments. Old houses have quirks, they said, probably the floorboards. But Martin knew better. He'd inspected buildings for decades. This wasn't old plaster or mildew. There was an intentional quality to it, like a hand brushing past you in a dark room, a presence. He started keeping a journal. Every time the smell returned, he noted the time, his exact location, and what he was doing. Patterns emerged. The scent always came when he was alone, and it always came when he was thinking of Carol, his late wife. That terrified him in a way he couldn't explain. Then came the first whisper. He had been in the bathroom shaving when the scent poured in, strong and cloying. He froze. The steam on the mirror rippled as though a breath had touched it, and then a faint whisper behind him. Not yet. He spun around, razor trembling in his hand. Nothing. He checked every window, every door. The garden was still. He even looked under the bed like a frightened child. But deep inside, Martin knew something was in the house, or around it, something aware. The scent was no longer just a curiosity. It had become a signal, an announcement of something near. Martin had avoided the attic since he moved in. The door was warped shut, nailed down crudely from the outside. It felt wrong. But one evening, when the scent came stronger than ever, so strong it made him gag, he decided to open it. With a claw hammer, he pried the nails loose and pushed the door. The stairs behind it groaned under his weight. Dust danced in the beam of his flashlight. At the top, he found a single room with faded floral wallpaper and a child-sized bed, perfectly made. And on the nightstand, a porcelain perfume bottle, uncorked. The scent hit him like a punch, overwhelming. He staggered back, eyes watering, stomach turning. As he backed away, he saw writing scratched into the wallpaper behind the bed. One word: stay. Determined to understand what he was facing, Martin visited the local archives. He searched property records, death certificates, even old crime reports. And there it was, a case from 1978. A young woman named Emily Graves had vanished. She was believed to have been abducted from that very house. The main suspect, her husband, he was never charged. But police noted that he claimed to smell her in the house long after she vanished. Chills ran down Martin's spine. The photo showed a smiling, dark-haired woman with a perfume bottle in her hand, the same one he'd seen upstairs. "Sweet Fern," the label said. Martin recognized it instantly. That was the scent. That was what had been invading his nights. Her scent, her fear, her memory. Martin considered moving out. He even packed. But the smell followed him into town, appearing in the car, in the supermarket, at the pub. It wasn't the house. It was him. Something had attached to him. Perhaps the moment he opened that attic door. Or maybe even before. Then one night, the whispers returned. But this time, they weren't behind him. They were inside his head. "He buried me. Under," the voice wept. Martin gripped his head, falling to the floor. Visions flooded his eyes. A man digging, crying, covering something with earth in the woods behind the house. The perfume bottle placed on the grave like a marker. At dawn, Martin took a shovel into the back garden. The scent was everywhere now, like the air itself was soaked in it. He walked toward the edge of the woods, guided by instinct. The trees seemed to part for him. After a few hours of digging, he struck something solid. Wrapped in tattered cloth was a human skeleton, and beside it, a dried bouquet and the perfume bottle, now empty. Martin staggered back, hand over his mouth. He called the police, trembling as he described everything. They found DNA confirmation weeks later. Emily Graves. After the burial, the scent disappeared. The house returned to silence. Martin stayed. It felt wrong to leave her again. Sometimes, in the early mornings, he walks the woods, whispering apologies. And every now and then, a soft breeze carries a memory of sweetness. But it's no longer haunting, it's versuchen. It began with a smell, not a foul one, not at first. It was a faint, strangely inviting scent that crept into Samuel's nostrils while he was inspecting the basement of the old estate he had just inherited. The house, located in the rural outskirts of Wiltshire, had belonged to his estranged uncle who'd mysteriously vanished in 1979. Samuel, now 46, had never known the man. But curiosity and the allure of owning countryside property had led him here. The scent reminded him of something. Old wood mixed with lavender and burnt sugar. Oddly nostalgic. He paused by the crumbling stone wall, trying to trace its source. The air was dry, but the smell was thick, almost warm, like it had been living in the walls for decades. And as he leaned in closer, something shifted, a soft creak behind him. He spun around. Nothing but the smell. It was stronger now. The next morning, he woke up choking. Not coughing. Choking. His throat felt like it had been packed with dust and ash. Eyes watering, he stumbled out of the bedroom, gasping as he reached the hallway. And there it was again, that scent. Only this time, it wasn't nostalgic. It was pungent and bitter, like rotting flowers soaked in vinegar. He flung open the windows, desperate for clean air. But it didn't help. The smell clung to his clothes, his skin, even his hair. That entire day, No matter where he went in the house, it followed. And worse, he began to hear whispers, not distinct words, just sibilant murmurings, like someone speaking from inside a sealed room. He tried to laugh it off. Stress, maybe, or mold. But deep down, Samuel was unsettled in a way he hadn't felt since childhood. Determined to find the source, Samuel returned to the basement that night with a flashlight and a crowbar. He tapped the walls, listening. Then, thunk! A hollow echo. He scraped away at the plaster until he uncovered a hidden door, ancient and sealed shut with rusted iron hinges. His heart thudded. It wasn't fear. It was something more primal. A warning. Still, he forced it open. Inside, the smell hit him like a wall of rot and perfume. His flashlight flickered. The room was small, lined with wooden shelves filled with glass bottles. Hundreds of them. Each one had a label in faded ink, names, dates, and inside, dark liquid, some thick and tar-like, others translucent with sediment swirling within. One bottle sat at the center on a pedestal. It was the only one without a label. As he stepped forward, Samuel felt something shift in the air, like the room exhaled. He reached for the bottle. The moment his fingers touched it, a sharp pain shot up his arm. He recoiled, dropping it. The glass didn't shatter. Instead, it hissed. A thin wisp of vapor escaped, curling in the air like a living thing. Then he heard it. His name. Samuel, whispered right beside his ear. He staggered back, heart racing. The vapor slithered along the floor, coiling near the door. He didn't wait to see more. He ran, stumbling out of the room and slamming the hidden door shut behind him. Upstairs, he vomited. The scent, it was in his throat now. And in the mirror, he noticed something horrifying. A red stain creeping up his neck like a vine. That night, Samuel dreamed of the bottles. Rows and rows of them, each one containing a face screaming inside. He awoke drenched in sweat, the smell still thick in the air. In desperation, he called Dr. Merrin, an old family friend and folklorist. The man listened silently, then asked one question. "Did your uncle ever mention the scent archives?" Samuel said no. Merrin explained that in ancient rituals, scents were believed to hold souls. Some cultures trapped memories and emotions in perfume, especially anguish. He warned Samuel to leave immediately, burn the house if he had to. But Samuel, he couldn't. Something was pulling him back down. He descended into the basement again, this time wearing gloves and a mask. He picked up the unlabeled bottle and wrapped it in cloth. But as he stepped outside to dispose of it, a neighbor appeared. An old woman who hadn't spoken to him since his arrival. She looked at the bottle and paled. "You opened it, didn't you?" she whispered. "We warned your uncle. He wouldn't listen either." Samuel tried to ask her more, but she backed away. "You've let it out. It doesn't go back in. It follows now." Over the following days, Samuel lost his sense of time. He forgot to eat. The house began to shift. Walls seemed closer. Floorboards whispered when he walked. And always the scent. Changing, evolving, becoming him. He began to smell like the house. People who visited grew nauseous. One even passed out. Merrin returned and tried to perform a cleansing ritual. But as he lit the herbs, the fire turned black. Samuel screamed. The scent in the room became unbearable, like charred hair and honey. Merrin collapsed, gasping, clutching his chest. He didn't survive the night. Samuel now stays in one room. He writes obsessively, his journal filled with scent descriptions. Scents he says don't exist on Earth. He claims each one is a person, a soul. He no longer sleeps. He barely blinks. And no matter how much he washes, the smell remains. The house is up for sale again, but no one wants it, because those who visit say it smells like something they can't describe, something that makes them remember pain they never lived through. And sometimes, when the wind is just right, the scent drifts through Wiltshire's hills, warm, sweet, and old, like lavender, wood, and something long dead. It began with a smell, a strange, sickly sweet scent that clung to the air like invisible mist. Miles Turner first noticed it on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, right after his shift at the printing press. He was a man in his late 40s, a creature of habit, meticulous and grounded, never one to chase after nonsense. But that day, as he stepped off the number 9 bus and passed by the old pawn shop on Barrow Street, something in the air caught his attention. It wasn't just any smell. It was layered, almost floral at first, but with something rotting underneath, something wrong. He paused, wrinkled his nose, looked around. There were no flowers, no garbage cans nearby, nothing to explain it. The scent faded as quickly as it came, but it left behind a deep unease in his chest. He brushed it off, blaming it on the wet weather or maybe a passing car. But as he turned the key to his apartment and stepped inside, the smell returned. Faint, hovering just beneath the scent of his old leather couch and lavender air freshener. This time, it seemed to be coming from the hallway. For the next few days, the smell came and went, sometimes stronger, sometimes barely there, but always enough to make his skin crawl. He started asking around the building. Mrs. Connor on the 3rd floor said she hadn't noticed anything, though her dog had been growling more often lately. "Maybe you've got a dead rat in the walls," she joked. But Miles knew the smell wasn't natural. It didn't belong. Then came the dreams. Vivid, disturbing dreams of dark rooms, whispering voices, and flickering shadows. In each dream, the same smell surrounded him, cloying, almost syrupy, like rotting orchids. He'd wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, convinced someone had been in his room. One night, he swore he saw a figure standing at the foot of his bed, but when he turned on the light, nothing was there, just the lingering scent, stronger than ever. He stopped sleeping. He started showering twice a day, scrubbing his skin raw in hopes of washing the scent away. He even replaced all the air fresheners in the apartment with heavy-duty deodorizers. Still, the smell clung to him. It was in his clothes, his sheets, his hair. Co-workers began to keep their distance, subtly wrinkling their noses when he walked by. One of them even left an anonymous note on his desk. "Get help." Desperate, Miles visited doctors, allergists, even a psychiatrist. They all found nothing wrong. No physical ailments, no signs of hallucination or delusion. Stress, they said. Middle-aged burnout. Try meditation. But how do you meditate away a scent that's always there? That follows you everywhere? That seems to grow stronger when you're alone. The breaking point came on a Sunday. Miles was sorting through old family photos in his closet, hoping to distract himself, when he found an old wooden box he didn't recognize. It smelled, not dusty or moldy. No, it was that smell, the scent that had haunted him for weeks. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside were neatly folded letters written in delicate, looping handwriting. They were from his grandmother, dated back to the 1950s. Each one ended with the same phrase: "Beware the perfume of the departed." His grandmother had always been strange, quiet, secretive. She kept mirrors covered and never allowed flowers in the house. She died when he was young, but Miles remembered her telling ghost stories by candlelight. One in particular, a tale of a spirit that marked its chosen by scent. A scent that would drive them mad until they uncovered what the dead wanted. He spent the next week researching, diving into old journals and obscure folklore forums. To his shock, he found similar stories, accounts of people being followed by a distinct smell before suffering mental breakdowns or disappearing entirely. Some linked it to ancestral curses, others to unresolved deaths. The common thread, the scent, was a harbinger, a call from the other side. Miles dug deeper into his family history and discovered something chilling. His grandmother's younger sister, Abigail, had vanished without a trace in 1952. She was last seen wearing a new floral perfume that had just come from France, a gift from a suitor who was later found dead in his bathtub. The perfume had a name, handwritten on one of the letters: L'appel du néant, the call of the void. Convinced now that he was being haunted, Miles did everything he could to appease the spirit. He burned sage, lit candles, even attempted a séance. During one attempt, the flame flickered violently and a cold breeze swept through the apartment. A whisper, almost inaudible, seemed to say his name. And then, silence. No smell. For the first time in weeks, the air was clean, but it didn't last. One night, Miles awoke gasping. The scent was back, but thicker, suffocating. He stumbled through his apartment, choking, eyes tearing up. It was like drowning in flowers dipped in death. In the hallway, he saw her. A woman in a 1950s dress, translucent and pale. Her hair curled neatly, her lips painted red. She was smiling. Abigail. He knew it was her. She pointed at the box. Miles dropped to his knees, opened the box again, and beneath the letters, he found a small glass bottle. The label was worn, but he could still make it out. L'appel du néant. The moment he touched it, the scent disappeared. And so did she. In the days that followed, peace returned. No smell, no dreams, no whispers. But the bottle remained, sealed and quiet. Miles placed it back in the box and buried it beneath the floorboards. Some things, he figured, were better left undisturbed. Still, once in a while, on rainy days, he smells something sweet in the air.